Hello and welcome to another episode of the Music Rabbit Hole Special Edition here. It is the October release review. Did one of these last month for September. It was a lot of fun. I feel like people got something out of it. People had some albums that they found and they enjoyed from some recommendations that I made from that episode. So I'm here to do that again. I'm here to tell you a little bit what I've listened to this past month and my thoughts and my ratings versus what the critics rated and things like that. Didn't get to do as many as I did in September. This was kind of a crazy month. You don't need to get into all the details. I got food poisoning and all this crazy stuff. But I do have 8 albums to talk about today. I did want to mention there are a few albums that I did not get a chance to fully listen to and rate. So I will not be providing ratings for a couple of these. Still working my way through the War on Drugs album, the Ed Sheeran album. I don't even really want to touch because I think from everything I've heard, it's not very good. So if I already know that I'm just going to give it a bad rating, I don't know the point there. A couple other albums. Oh yeah, Parquet Courts album. I listened to some of that. My Morning Jacket. Listened to a little bit of that. Hand Habits. Biffy Clyro is a really highly rated album that people really like. I'm still working my way through. And then of course Lana Del Rey. Really like what I've heard so far from that one, but still working my way through. So those will not be reviewed on this episode, but I will probably put those on the website, themusicrabbithole.com. All right, let's get into it. I like to start with my lowest rated albums and work my way up. And the lowest rated album for this month was a album by a little band that you probably heard of, Coldplay. This album is Music of the Spheres. It came out October 15th, 12-track album. The critics gave it a 5.6. I gave it a 5.8. I gave it a little bit more than the critics, surprisingly. Just a little bit. This album, I mean, look, I know it's very popular for people to just crap all over Coldplay, and deserved at times, for sure. But occasionally they do put out good songs. Now, probably haven't put out good songs in like 15 years, but still, this album is just not very good. It's boring. You could put it on in the background and forget that it's even playing. It's a boring record, and that's my problem with it. Is the Coldplay-Music as of the last couple albums and things like that, it's just boring. It's just not very interesting, and this album falls in that line. 5.8. I don't even have a favorite song from this one, so I'm not even gonna say one. My next reviewed album, Meek Mill. Gave this one a review very early in the month. This was an October 1st release. Meek Mill, Expensive Pain, 18-track album. I already wrote a lot of my thoughts on the review that I wrote on themusicrabbithole.com, but 6.6 for this album. Critics gave it a 5.9. I gave it a little higher. I think there's still some nice moments on this album. There's this little stretch in the middle where he has like 3 or 4 really, really good songs in a row. Some of my favorite songs, Expensive Pain and Tweaking, were a couple of those. But yeah, an album that's just not very balanced. It does hit some highs at times, but the rest of it is very, very low. So Meek Mill, Expensive Pain there, 6.6 rating. We will go next to Boy Scouts. This is the album Wayfinder, came out October 1st. This is indie rock, acoustic album, 10 tracks by this artist, and I really enjoy this one. I mean, every now and then you get some of these acoustic albums in that indie realm where maybe not one particular song is super, super memorable, but it's an enjoyable record. You enjoy listening to them sing. You enjoy the sounds of the album. Critics gave it a 7.4. I gave that a 6.8. So if you want to just throw on a good kind of indie rock acoustic type record, I'd say Boy Scouts Wayfinder is a good one for that. We will move on now to Bad Bad Not Good and the album Talk Memory. That dropped October 8th. It's an 8-track instrumental hip-hop, jazz funk, jazz fusion type record. I'm not super into the jazz or instrumental type realm, but I enjoyed this one. I gave it a 7.1. Critics gave it a 7.9. My favorite song, Love Proceeding. And yeah, it's a short one. It's 8 tracks. You can get through that. And if you want to, I would put this in that realm of good kind of background working music, or, you throw on the big headphones and sit back and chill and relax music as well. That could work. So I gave that a 7.1. Next up, we're hitting up Hovvdy, I'm not quite sure how to say it. The album True Love that dropped October 1st, 12-track album. It's in that indie rock slowcore type realm. I really enjoyed this record. I feel like I keep saying that, but it's true. I enjoyed this one a lot. I didn't know anything about this group. I think it's a duo, and I also put my review for this on the website. But it has a lot of different themes throughout. Love's lost and redemption and growing up and all this sort of stuff. And it's really good. My favorite tracks: True Love and Around Again. Critics gave it a 7.8. I gave it a 7.3. So pretty close to the critics on that one. Let's get to... Okay, we're going next to Pokey LaFarge, In the Blossom of Their Shade. This was an October 15th review or drop. This is a 10-track blues, folk, country record. This is a super interesting record. Pokey LaFarge does very kind of old school grassroots country blues or whatever you want to call it. It sounded like a record that you could take out of like the 50s or 60s or whatever. And you could take his voice and it would fit back then and now, and it's just wild. It's a wild record that really grows on you, I think. It was a fun listen. My favorite song was Me IDL. The album is in English, but he has this one song where he sings a lot in Spanish, which was kind of cool. And it's worth a listen. It's an interesting album. I mean, it's a very old school sound. It's not overly complicated. And the 10 tracks, it's just like I said, I think it's just a solid piece of art. I think he does a great job. Critics gave this an 8.5. I wasn't that high on it. I gave it a 7.8, which is actually pretty high for my ratings typically. But I didn't think it necessarily deserved to be in the 8 realm. But I liked it. I thought it was really good. Next up, Ray Black, the album Access Denied, 14-track album from October 1st in that R&B soul realm. I believe Ray Black from the UK. Critics absolutely loved this one. They gave it a 9.5 at the time. I'm not sure what it is now, but it was a 9.5 when I checked. And that seems a little high for me. I think the album is good. My favorite track is Over You. I gave it a 7.9. I think it's just on that realm. Really cool kind of R&B record. Has some really great sounds, and it's an enjoyable record. Give it a listen. I mean, definitely anything in that 7 and up realm are worth your time to listen. That's kind of why I do these reviews. Is if it's 7 and above, I'd say it's worth your half hour, your 45 minutes, whatever, to listen to that record. And I think you'll find a couple tracks that you enjoy. So that's Ray Black. And we've got one left here. Welcome to the 8 and above club, Wiki, and the album Half God. This came out October 1st, 16-track rap album. This one blew me away. It blew me away. I didn't really know a whole lot about Wiki, and this album was fantastic. It's that kind of old school storytelling rap sound, a little boom bap in there. Critics gave it an 8.5. I gave this an 8.2. My favorite songs, Wick to God and Promised. This was just, it was a really, really impressive record. It's actually one of my favorite records of the year now. I think my ratings, it's one of the, I've got about 13 or 14 albums that are in the 8 and above club, and this made it. It's telling the story about the changing of the city of New York and people, the gentrification and the new types of people that are moving to the city, and the old school residents being priced out of their homes and all this sort of stuff. And it's a very interesting storytelling record. It's a long album. It's 16 tracks, but it's a great listen, and especially for those who love that old school rap sound, I think this is a record for you. So it's in the 8 and above club at 8.2. Critics gave an 8.5, so it's pretty much right on the same wavelengths there. There's still only one album this year that made it into the 9 club, and that is Dave's We're All Alone in This Together. So that about rounds up my October reviews. Again, like I mentioned at the top, I didn't get to listen to a ton of music. I was pretty sick for like half the month, so I'm hoping to listen to more here in November. And I also another record, a shout out that I didn't get a chance to listen to, JPEG Mafia. I know people are really high on that record. Again, just didn't get a chance to listen to that yet, but I will. And as I listen to these albums, the reviews will be on the website, themusicrabbithole.com. Follow the show on Instagram, _music rabbit hole, and of course subscribe and like the YouTube channel and all that good stuff. I appreciate that. Season 4 of the Music Rabbit Hole returns in January, so I'll be doing videos like this until then. So subscribe to the channel so you get those in your inbox or whatever. I appreciate you watching this. Hope you check out some of these albums. Again, the ones that I said are probably worth your time, kind of the 7s and above. Bad Bad Not Good, Wiki, of course, Ray Black, Hovvdy, and Pokey, LaFarge. The rest you can probably do without. This has been another special edition of the Music Rabbit Hole. We'll see you next time.